Long distance information, give me Memphis, Tennessee.
Looking back at the Civil Rights Movement, it did more than just influence change around the world. It influenced so much of the music that we love and listen to today. Artists like Otis Redding, Isaac Hayes, Sam and Dave, Rufus and Carla Thomas, the Bar-Kays, Booker T and the MGs, and so many others got their start right here at Stax. For most of these artists, they all shared similar beginnings: gospel music. A person's soul is a person's essence, and gospel is the music of that essence, and the church is its home. Isn't that appropriate that we're here at the Stax Museum today in a replica of an old country church? And joining me now is the legendary disc jockey of gospel music from WDIA, Mr. Ford Nelson. Mr. Nelson, it's an honor to be with you today as we talk about what's great about Memphis and what's great about Memphis's rich African-American history. Over 50 years in the radio business, I'm sure you can tell us all the great stories.
Well, I hope so, Kevin. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm just glad to be a part of this legacy and what we are about today. But now, you mentioned about the over 50 years that I've been with WDIA, and actually it has been 55 years. I'm very proud of that because I repeated it a lot of times. I started in 1950 with the radio station WDIA as B.B. King's piano player. In fact, at first I was a part of his combo, his band, and he was already on the air. He was already aboard. I like to put into perspective that these were the early days of B.B. Now, I was playing music with him. We would do gigs, you know, entertain throughout the tri-state area, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Arkansas. And I wasn't broadcasting at that time. I was his piano player, as I said. Now, he was on Monday through Saturdays. I would make those broadcasts with him during this 15-minute segment, Monday through Friday and through Saturday. And management was observing me all that time, and I wasn't aware of it. I remember distinctly our program director at that time was Don Kern, and they had another slot open that they wanted me to fill called Let's Have Some Fun. So when I got through playing the piano with BB on the air, I started to doing my own show called Let's Have Some Fun, which is a rhythm and blues show, and that's how I really got started at WDIA. And then maybe another 15 minutes here, an hour there. And eventually they decided, I found out that my personality was more suitable for gospel music. So that's how I wound up being a full-time announcer doing gospel music. In fact, I'm still on WDIA now on Sundays. And my shift on Sundays is from 6 a.m. until 2 p.m.
That is
so that's
absolutely
how it all started.
Amazing.
I'd like to say while I'm at it, I was so happy to interact and work with, in fact, the first African-American announcer, Nat D. Williams.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and he was one of the pioneers. So
another legend like you.
Thank you. I like to be associated with people like Nat D. Williams, and in fact, they're all gone just about. A.C. Muha Williams, Theo Bless My Bones Wade, Dwight Gatemouth Moore, Willa Monroe, who was our first Tantown homemaker, and Maurice Hot Rod Hubbard, Rufus Thomas. So that was the kind of company that I was a part of, and I'm just happy to have been associated with it.
Mr. Nelson, you know, it's kind of appropriate. We're here in the Stax Museum. Of course, you start the Stax tour in a church. And if you look at so many of the legendary great artists that came out of the Memphis area, whether they were soul, whether they were rhythm and blues, whether they were even rock and roll, so many of them got their foundation in gospel music.
That is so true. In fact, a lot of people don't know it. BB at one time sang gospel music, even though, you know, he's noted as the Beale Street Blues boy.
Mr. Nelson, what is it that makes Memphis so special? Why Memphis? Why did all these things happen here?
Well, Memphis has often been called the Bible Belt. You know, church music and church activities have been very, very special. And of course, that attracts the gospel participants. And this is such a base for just soul itself, whether rhythm and blues or whether gospel.
Mr. Nelson, you've got so many great memories and you've lived through so many great things about the history of not only this city, but this country. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. My pleasure, Kevin. Thank you very much.
Now let's take a short trip through this great museum and see what Stax is all about. Well, who better to talk to us about the Stax Museum of American Soul Music than its president, Ms. Deanie Parker. Deanie, thank you for being with us on Give Me Memphis today. And I just got to start off by saying you've got to be so proud what you and others have created here with this unbelievable experience for visitors that visit here from all over the world.
You bet, Kevin. We are very, very proud, and we're equally proud to have Give Me Memphis in Soulsville, USA with us this afternoon. Thank you so much for coming over to the Stax Museum of American Soul Music to see what's in this 17,000 square foot facility that houses over 2,000 artifacts and exhibits that gives us an opportunity to showcase for the rest of the world to see the impact that Memphis made on soul music, our contribution, if you will, the Memphis sound. That's what it's all about here. A lot of the contributions that have been made to soul music, the soul music that people still enjoy all over the world today, happen right here at the corner of College and McLemore Avenue in Memphis, Tennessee. At the time that Stax Records was in its heyday, you might say that Stax Records was the anchor of this community. It really was a source of hope for a lot of people who were aspiring to do something positive with their lives. I recall that when Stax Records was here, there was a very large apartment complex located next door where the Stax Music Academy is now situated. And out of that housing complex where there were everyday blue-collar workers were a number of youngsters who would pass by Stax Records and they might see Isaac Hayes out front, or Otis Redding, or Booker T and the MGs, or a number of other artists. And so what it said to those children was that I can be just as great as they are one day.
Deanie, I got to ask you this question. What makes Memphis so special?
Kevin, I have a feeling you already know that answer, but I'm going to tell you anyway. It's the music. Absolutely.
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
And that's one of the reasons why you can say very proudly, give me Memphis. What else can you give from Memphis that is as special as our music is?
Universal language.
Universal language, whether it's gospel, blues, rhythm and blues, a little bit of jazz, country music. I mean, we've got it all right here in Memphis. Do you know we're the envy of cities all over the world?
No question about it.
And don't they come here to study what makes us so special and great?
If we were like a brand like Thunderbirds and Cadillacs, Memphis would be called a Rolls Royce.
You got it.
No question about it.
Give me Memphis.
Deanie, thank you so much, and we want to invite all of our viewers to come tour the Stax Museum of American Soul Music. It's an experience that you will never forget. Well, joining me now is the mayor of the great city of Memphis, Willie Harrington. And Mayor, you know, we've kind of taken a trip through the city today, and we've looked at all the great amenities and contributions that so many African Americans have made in making this city great. What is your vision of the future? Where do you see this? Where do you want to see this great city 10, 15 years from now?
Well, first of all, Kevin, let me say that Memphis enjoys a long, rich, and a tradition of being a great American southern city. But when I think of the contributions that African Americans have made, it's astounding. I think many of you know Robert Church's contributions to Memphis at a critical point in its history. I can well remember the Memphis Red Sox. We had a great Negro baseball team at that time, legendary. I remember, Kevin, B.B. King. When B.B. King played in little juke joints in South Memphis and on Beale Street, I remember Rufus Thomas, all of these guys. I remember when the Stax recording studio was where we are right now, and Stax was destined to be another Motown. So suffice it to say, we have a rich musical heritage, and I think the future of Memphis is going to be extremely bright.